Pain gives our lives meaning. It drives us to push ourselves to such extent that wasn't possible before. But like everything else, there's a balance to it. Too little of it makes us fragile, breaking at the first sign of hardship. And too much of it, well, it makes us desensitized to the point where we lose ourselves and feel less human. And in the case of Max Payne, I'm afraid it is the latter. A man who's lost everything and doesn't fear death. Instead, he toys with the idea and yearns for it. Developed in 2001 by Remedy Entertainment and written by Sam Lake, Max Payne was unlike anything at the time. The industry was chasing realism, bigger guns, bigger explosions, but instead, Remedy gave us a detective story written like a fever dream narrated in monologues soaked in rain and regret. The story follows NYPD detective Max Payne, whose wife and baby daughter are brutally murdered by drug addicts high on a new designer drug called Valkyr. 3 years later, Max goes undercover into the criminal underworld, trying to uncover the truth behind the drug, the syndicates, and the government connections that made everything possible.
It took us 3 long years to get a break in the Valkyr case. Then, finally, 2 months ago, a dime dropper tipped us off that Jack Lupino, a mob boss in the Punchinello crime family, was trafficking. I went undercover, infiltrated the worst mafia family in New York.
But as he digs deeper, what he discovers goes beyond nefarious deeds of bad actors and conspiracies. Is it really possible to find and become the man he was once before? When you strip away the gunplay, the slow motion, and the chaos, Max is a broken man in every sense of the word and replaying his trauma on loop. At its core, his war isn't against mobsters or corporations, but it is against his own memories. He lives in an endless night where every bullet he fires feels like both punishment and confession. No matter how many people he kills, just or not, no matter how long he stays awake running from it, the memories still haunt his nights and days. Every corner you turn in the city echoes the same thought. When you have nothing left to lose, the pain becomes your only friend. The storytelling in Max Payne is drenched in metaphor. The snow that never stops falling. It is basically depicting a frozen world, suspended between life and death. The graphic novel panels, they are like, let's just say, fragmented, dreamlike windows into a man who narrates his own tragedy. Max Payne speaks like a detective and dreams like a poet. He's the unreliable narrator of his own suffering, desperately trying to give meaning to a senseless loss. His story blurs the line between hallucination and reality, a descent that one could draw parallels in literary works like Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground and Camus' The Stranger.
Michelle looked at me from the photo.
What happens when pain becomes the only thing that makes you feel alive? For Max, revenge isn't justice, it's anesthesia. He tells himself he's chasing truth and seeking retribution, but deep down, he knows none of it will ever bring him peace. Because for him, the idea of peace died years ago along with his family. This is where an instance of the game's brilliance lies. It turns violence and senseless brutality into metaphor.
Did I love her? Was there a choice? The past is a gaping hole. You try to run from it. The more you run, the deeper, more terrible it grows behind you. Its edges yawning at your heels.
That line isn't just good writing, it's a cry from someone trapped in his own subconscious. Max Payne is a study of post-traumatic existence, a meditation on grief, guilt, and the ways trauma reshapes perception. The endless snow of New York mirrors Max's inner landscape, cold, desolate, and unchanging, a world frozen in the moment of his greatest loss. The hallucinatory effects of Valkyr aren't just gameplay mechanics, they externalize his fractured mind, blurring the line between reality and memory, dream and nightmare. Each encounter, every gunfight, and every shadowy corner becomes metaphor for his inner struggle. The repetitive, almost circular plot reflects the cycles of depression, obsessive rumination, and guilt. Max is trapped in a loop where his pain feeds his need for vengeance, and vengeance feeds his pain, a self-perpetuating spiral that mirrors what psychologists describe as post-traumatic stress, compounded by survivor's guilt and isolation. His perception of the world is filtered through grief, making trust almost impossible, morality relative, and human connection almost unbearable. He's no hero, he doesn't save anyone. He's trying to survive his own hell by any means necessary. Does he go too far? Maybe. But maybe that's exactly why we connect with him. Because survival in the end is the most universal struggle of all. Throughout this story, Max is haunted by dreams and symbols. A blood trail leading through his apartment, a crying baby echoing down endless halls, his own voice narrating his descent like a confession. These surreal moments reflect his psyche, guilt, loss, and the desperate search for meaning in chaos. Psychologically, Max Payne explores what Nietzsche called eternal recurrence, the idea that we live the same moments endlessly until we confront them. For Max, confrontation comes at gunpoint. He kills his way to truth. Only to find out what he was chasing as truth brings no closure. It's also an exploration of moral disintegration, how revenge erodes the self. The deeper Max dives into vengeance, the less human he becomes, and the detective becomes the criminal in the end. When Max Payne released, it redefined the tone of gaming narrative. Remedy combined comic book storytelling, film noir aesthetics, and slow-motion gunplay inspired by John Woo movies and The Matrix. But unlike those movies, the game wasn't about coolness, it was about consequence. Every stylish moment came with emotional weight. It is ironic, a game known for its violence is actually about pain. Not the kind that bleeds, but way worse, the kind that stays with you, the one you can't shoot your way out of. The legacy of Max Payne can be felt in every gritty, story-driven game that came after. We have games like Spec Ops: The Line, Alan Wake, or The Last of Us. Each owes something to that balance of action and introspection, style and sorrow. Even today, very few have captured the same poetic despair. Few have dared to say that sometimes the hero, using that term very loosely, isn't looking for redemption. He's looking for a reason to simply keep going. Max Payne reminds us that sometimes pain is the only proof that we're still alive, that the road to redemption isn't through revenge or even retribution, but through forgiving ourselves and making peace with our past. But that just may be the hardest bullet to dodge.